Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Mike DiStefano, a.k.a. Al's brother, a.k.a. my partsy. Big hour. We've got Luke Wilson later in the hour with picks for the weekend. Luke's take on what he sees happening this weekend in the NFL.
And I'll tell you guys what, we are getting some kind of advantage going into the playoffs, as it's like a bike race. The leader in the Tour de France starts ahead of everyone else, right?
Yeah,
So,
but not with the scoreboard. I mean, there may be some sort of an advantage if you want to pick the games, which seems like a big advantage.
I agreed with what Luke said the other day. We start at +3 or something like that.
No, that's not the way the Stanley Cup playoffs start. You don't get out to the wild card weekend and the home team's up 2 touchdowns.
You know what? I only go to battle with my partsy. We'll talk when my partsy's on.
All right, sure. We'll do that in half an hour. And Luke's coming up. We got the Raptors in action tonight. They're going for 3 in a row. 3 in a row tonight. 3 wins in a row.
Nice
and
dinner
on the
party
boys.
tonight?
Yeah, maybe
in
Nobu
SoCal?
and some. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities.
Dude, I
out in
tried to tell these
California.
guys the other day, Al's brother, if the coach said, hey, dinner on me tomorrow night in L.A. or something, they'd be like, go stuff it, man. Like, give us $2,000
wanna
each
be
or
with
something.
you.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Put money on the board. We'll take it and go out ourselves.
Yeah,
but
we're
you're
not going
coming.
with you to some steakhouse, coach.
Well, is it a
Thank
dinner
you.
with the coach, or is it here's the credit card, go have yourself some fun?
That's what the boys want. They'll
Yeah.
take your credit card.
Right. But
That's what he's got to do then.
I don't believe that was the case. I think it was, team dinner. I'm involved. We'll see. Who knows? They got to get over the Kings tonight. Kings are a good team.
Yeah.
And the Leafs are in San Jose tomorrow, and I guess it was just announced Martin Jones will start again, which of course he's going to. He just started back-to-back games, and they've had 2 days off. So obviously he's going to start. And you mentioned that yesterday, Owen. We didn't really, focus on it later in the show, the Dennis Hildeby confidence issue, where they obviously don't want him in the NHL. This is a move out of necessity because Samsonov
And by the way, let me
forced their hand.
clarify that, Hayes. It's not a confidence issue. You're just kind of saying, we're scared to death to put you in the net in an NHL game. Anaheim's terrible, and we'll get into them a little bit later. They're apparently still pissed. The Toronto Sun fired back at those guys. And then you got San Jose, and it's like, you're not going in that net.
Well, exactly.
So,
But how is that not possibly a confidence issue for Hildeby? If we get that message, he gets that message. It's the NHL.
Well, wouldn't you think you'd be saying, hey, like, it's kind of cool to get called up, but mentally you're like, these guys, they're scared crapless to put me in the net.
Yeah.
I don't know if
In
I
a
read it
nothing
that way,
game.
though. I don't know if I did. If Martin Jones doesn't get a shutout, then I think they may go to Hildeby. But I think that shutout may have changed things for the team, where they're like,
Look,
okay, let's
Al's
just run with
brother,
this guy.
I get it. It's a win league. Every game's important. Every game's the biggest game of your life. That's what I remember about it. And I do appreciate that, where it's like, Hildebeest, you're a great story. We like your hair. Everything's cool, but you're not going in the net. We gotta sweep this road trip, and we got to get on to the positive here. We just come off a bunch of losses, and we're looking to get trucking. I do get that element, but it is sending the message, we have no interest in putting you in that net.
Right. I mean, that's the thing here where, like, both things can be right. I appreciate
Exactly.
Keefe's approach, because Keefe basically said, I think what he was effectively doing was answering the issue with Samsonov starting against Columbus in the past, Buffalo in the past, where it was like, man, this guy's a mess, but we got to start him because this team's brutal. We're going to play him. And it cost his team, because I think his team said, all right, well, I guess we don't care that much. Like, this team's awful. Our coach is playing a guy who shouldn't play. And I think Keefe effectively, said the same thing when it came to the Anaheim game. Everyone knows Anaheim's not a very good team.
No.
And if you put Hildeby in, even though it is a back-to-back, so it's easier to explain because Jones had played the night before. You don't want to burn him out. But I think Keefe was like, I don't want to let my guys off the hook by thinking I'm looking past Anaheim here by playing Hildeby. So if you're Sheldon Keefe, your job is to win. If you're Austin Matthews, John Tavares, you don't care about some guy who's in the minors. You were like, I got to win here, man. I got to win.
And what's
hockey
this
games.
road trip? Is it 3 in Cali and then done?
Yeah, then they come home. They come home, and like, who knows when he's going to play? If he's up here for a month, at some point he's going to play. But I think this is where, again, two things can be right. I understand it from Keith's standpoint and the player standpoint, but I agree with you. Where if you're Hildeby and the team's trying to prop you up and build up your confidence in the minors.
You just want to show him something. You want to say, hey, like, I got this. If you ever need it in the future, I can give that to you. And he's like, I ain't giving you squat.
We're not playing you.
They got a back-to-back next weekend. They got the Avs on the Saturday night, and then the Red Wings at home on the Sunday.
Both at home, though. Both at home, brother.
So that Sunday game, you don't think is a good game for him against the Red Wings?
How is it any different?
At some point.
How the hell is Anaheim in Anaheim different than Detroit? Detroit's more Hildebeest is not going in the net.
I don't know.
No way, Hildebeest.
You said it. He's got to play at some point. I'm looking at the schedule. In the next 5 games, that's the most logical spot.
Dude, if he was going to play at some point, it would have been Anaheim on a back-to-back.
Exactly.
That's when the Hildebeest was going to make his debut. Right. If that didn't happen, I don't know when he's going to go back into the net.
And again, maybe tomorrow night on house money in San Jose. It's literally the worst team in the league. Yeah. And they've lost 10 in a row.
Last in scoring.
Yeah, and Hildebeest is not going to go tomorrow. Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What's happening, Johnny?
What's going on, boys? How about this? And I don't mind Sheldon Keefe going with, I want the 2 points from the crappy team. Like, the Leafs need the 2 points from the crappy team. So play your better goaltender. But at some point, Martin Jones is going to have a bad game or look tired. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And that's when Hildy goes in there. It's not a function of what's best for him. It's when Jones starts looking like he's run out of gas.
That's a good point. Like, allow him to make some sort of determination here.
Well,
like Jones
won't be his call, but it'll be his performance that will dictate that call.
Right, exactly. But also they can be honest with him, and if he's like, hey, man, I'm starting to run out of steam here. I don't know if a professional athlete will do that. They may not want to do that. But that is a valid point, is the assessment isn't even about Hildeby. It's more about Jones. And he did what he was supposed to. Give up 1 goal on a back-to-back, L.A. and Anaheim, and they won both games.
Really good.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, really good.
That was the signing of the – you look at the Trey Living era, and it's been a wild one already with the Matthews signing. Willie's coming. We'll get to that. Bertuzzi, Domi, Reeves. The Martin Jones deal is the most important thing he's done in his tenure here for the most part.
Season-saving signing. Is he not? Like, think about it. Think about it if they had whatever, any one of those number of third-string goaltenders that you just have zero faith in whatsoever. And if the Leafs were stuck in a spot where it was Samsonov, given his current situation, and whoever that other goaltender might have been, they would be not. I mean, I still think they'd be okay to make the playoffs, but it would be so much tighter, so much more stressful, so much less comfortable. So, yeah, getting that guy who won, what he was, like 27 games last year, whatever it was. Like, he had a good season last year win-wise, and he's been around, and he can deal with the stress of Toronto. That was a smart signing, and it's paying big-time dividends.
Yeah, it's been massive. We'll get, obviously, to the World Juniors here in a moment, Johnny, but you're aware of what's going on over here. Everyone's buzzing about Willie, and, Nylander and the Leafs appear to be on the verge of an 8-year deal, upwards of 11, 11.25, 11.5. Who knows? We don't know the exact numbers
I heard you
yet.
love it. I heard you love that.
You know where I stand on all this. It's never about the – it's more about the teams that I take issue with.
At least it's 8 years, Hazy. At least
I'll give him credit. You're
right.
Nylander, he's willing to sign for 8 where no one else was. And I take issue with the team's approach, Johnny, is my thing. Is let's say it is 8 years at 11.25. Let's say it's the Pasternak deal. I don't believe that in the summer the Leafs were even close to being comfortable with that. Like, their evaluation was, we're not going close to that. And in 36 games, you're going to adjust your whole stance and your cap structure for the next 8 years. 36 games. You've decided, all right, take an extra $2 million. Like that, I'm sorry. I don't think that's smart business. I'm not going to change my opinion on it, but I understand other people view it differently. So go ahead.
So let's just flesh this out, because it's a little bit more nuanced than quite the way you presented that. So,
how so?
You're right. Like, well, here's how. Because I think what the Leafs were thinking was they were almost having, some people in the Leaf organization were having a hard time getting to 9 in the summer. And now they're all the way up over 11. But I think there's 2 things that have changed. One, of course, the way William Nylander backed up a really good year last year with a better year this year, and kind of reinforcing the idea that I am who I was last year or better, and I'm not the guy that I was before that. I'm not a 65, 70-point guy. I'm an 85, 90, 100-point guy and a 40-goal scorer. So he's backed that up that has changed. Like, that is kind of confirmation that he's changed. But more importantly, what has changed is somebody else would have given him the contract he's about to get. That's what's changed. And that's what's forced the Leafs to adjust. It's not so much that they think he's worth $2 million more. It's everybody else will think he's worth $2 million more. So now if they want him to sign, they need to give him what he would get approximately by everyone else if he's willing to leave. And that's what they're going to have to do. Now, the bigger issue I have, Hayes, is if you want value on your player's contract, sometimes you got to take a little bit of risk yourself, meaning you got to sign them early. Mm-hmm. Could you have gotten Nylander 8 years at $10 million in August?
Yes.
Something like that.
Right.
But you were not willing to roll the dice that
Yep.
he was going to back up his great year with another great year. So you said, listen, prove it to us. He did. Now it's going to cost you $1 million+ dollars. That's some of your own responsibility. Like, Nylander already had a team-friendly contract. This contract he's on right now has turned out to be an incredibly team-friendly contract. Mm-hmm. By waiting and asking him to prove it, when he does, it's cost the Leafs. I don't blame William Nylander, and I think it's more the fact that around the league, someone would have given him something close to what he's going to get now, and that's what's changed.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how we could possibly know that. I mean, I'm sure his representatives would say that. The Nylander camp would say that. We haven't hit free agency, like, unless there's collusion happening around the league. And I don't know how we know over 7 years he's going to make the same as an 8-year deal at 11 or something here in Toronto.
Maybe not 8. Maybe not.
No,
maybe
he
not
won't.
$90 million for 7 years, but
Yeah.
like 11 for 7. Somebody would give him that.
It's possible, but like we brought up, like Al's brother brought up the Gaudreau situation. Every player's different. Every scenario is different, clearly. But everyone looks back on that like, man, Trey Living got burned and he's gun shy. And why don't we ever talk about what actually happened when Gaudreau got to free agency? Why doesn't that ever come up? That he didn't get $12 million. He didn't get 12 and a half. He got way less. So how do we know Willie doesn't get there and he's like, it's not here. It's not the 12 million. It's not the 11. Because the rest of the league's like, yeah, we like you, but not like Toronto does. Like, yeah, we'll bring you in. We love you. You're a winger. You're a very good player. Great player. But you're not Austin Matthews. You're not Connor McDavid. You're not David Pasternak. Like, why is it just a foregone conclusion that 15 other teams are waiting? Like, I don't see that. I don't know how we could possibly know that. And here's a Gaudreau example from 2 years ago where it went the opposite way, Johnny.
There's more
the
space
deals weren't
out there,
for
though,
him.
too, right, guys? Like, there's a lot more space. The cap is going way up, so more teams going to
That
be able
factors
to
in.
offer money.
Sure, it factors in. But Gaudreau took
$4
less.
million
Yeah, go ahead.
for everyone. Yeah, yes, and Gaudreau did take less because he wanted to make geographic decisions about his family. I think Willie wants to make financial decisions about his family. He'll go anywhere that would pay him the most that he wants to get. And I don't fault him. I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm saying that
it's
as
his
a
career,
reality.
it's his life. Yep.
More money in the bank, absolutely. And like you say, Gaudreau, Timo Meier got a pretty sweet deal in Jersey. William Nylander is quite a bit better than Timo Meier. Like, for every contract you say he didn't get it, you can point to a guy who said he did get it, and Willie's better than him. It works both ways. And while there is no collusion, I say in air quotes, Nylander's camp would have a pretty good idea through wink, wink, nudge, nudge conversations what his value around the league would be, as would Toronto. And I think it's closer to what he's going to get than any sort of 9-10 number that you might be thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, he's a great player. He's having a great year. I don't want it to sound as if I'm down on Nylander. I wasn't down on Matthews.
No, we're not down. Go ahead, Johnny.
The thing is, guys, it's not about the players. We're all acknowledging they're all incredible.
Right.
Almost 4 guys, 5 guys. They're all incredible, world-class. The Leafs are tough because they are so tight to the cap because those guys are so good and make so much money. So look at what, we're talking about. Every $250,000, every $700,000, every cent they save somewhere, important to the team, surround those great players with other good players that allow them to maybe go on a deep run some year. And
Johnny, that's what I want to ask you, bud. Do you, regardless of what he's going to make, what he's going to make, do you actually believe in this where it's like all we talk about is their lack of flexibility, their depth in the lineup, and it's like they're doing it again. And then God knows what happens when Marner's deal comes up, and it's just the same guys making all that money and not much around them. Do you believe that they can win like this, continue to do this?
I do, but I always have, even more so as the cap gets bigger, right? Because there'll be more money around for the other players. Now, Mitch may
How
take
much
some
of a
that
cap
money up.
increase are we talking about here?
I think it's going to be what is it,
$4.5 million?
$3.5. I think it's going to be 90 in 2 years. So when Tavares and Mitch's contracts are up, it'll be jumping up to 90. So that's going to be quite a bit more. Tavares will likely take a pay cut. He'll be $4 million off his number. So you'll be able to add 12 more million dollars in players. Marner getting a raise and keeping this group. I think they're talented enough with that sort of situation to work itself out. What is going to be hard, is next year. Like, next year is going to be so crunchy in the cap world that they're going to need entry-level players like Matthew Nyes. They're going to have 2 entry-level goalies likely in Hildeby and Wall, which will help them. They're going to need that kind of stuff to get through next year when everybody's on their big deal.
Yeah, it's listen, this has been their philosophy. They believe in it, and they're going to continue to go with it. And again, I understand what it brings in the regular season. They're a very good regular season team. They've been an elite regular season team for a long time. They did win a playoff round last year. It makes the rest of the front office's job difficult, but that's why they're there. And they have all the resources in the world. They got to draft right, develop right. I think it's important to point out also that with the cap going up, that means the guy that was asking for $3 million a year ago is probably asking for $4 million in the future, right? Like, all the boats are going to rise. So,
yeah.
I mean, you got to consider that, right? It's not like this idea that, well, all that money is available, so whatever that guy's getting paid today, he'll ask for the same thing in 2 years. He won't. He'll ask for more money too.
It.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Spoken like an agent of a middle-class player.
Right.
Well, I think the top will accelerate higher than the middle and the bottom.
Which is the way it probably should be anyway, right? With all due respect to the other players, the superstars drive ticket sales, jersey sales, TV deal, all that kind of stuff.
Sorry, guys, I just look at it differently. It's like, if there's no winning that's going on, maybe this spring, or I don't know how you just continue to say. For years we've been saying, is this the last year these guys are going to be together? And like, the idea of coveting William Nylander, it's a great thing. But when you haven't won, it's like, to be so committed to that, and it's like, here's what you want. I just don't understand it. My philosophy would have changed years ago, but here we are again. We're just loading up on.
I hear you.
I just and I don't want to take away from the guy getting paid, because he's a terrific kid and he's a terrific player. But the whole idea for me is trying to get something that works in the playoffs. And you talk about scrounging money next year. Like, how many more years are you going to piss away the prime years of Auston Matthews trying to figure out how you're going to squeeze into defensemen at minimum wage? I just find it to be insanity.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is, what do the Leafs forwards look like without William Nylander? Like, I don't know,
Johnny. Maybe it's 2 different players.
Well,
it's always could be something different. Like,
you're going to get 2 $5 million players, and one is going to be a defenseman that you want to play on the second pair, and one's going to be a winger. But I don't know what that team looks like. With Marner and Matthews attached to the hip, with Tavares, showing his, getting a little bit older, still very good, but getting a little bit older. I think they realize it's very important that Willie stays, because he's in the prime of his career, and they need, like, almost a point where, I don't want to go there, like, if you had Tavares up in a year, if he wanted $10 million again, you're like, well, then that's the guy we live without. We don't live without Willie right now. We live without Tavares going forward, not Nylander.
I think that's probably very likely. I mean, that day will come where, if John wants to stick around, I think he's going to have to take a massive discount on what he's currently making.
It's not $8 million a year for Tavares.
No,
it's way less than that if he wants to stick around.
Way less than that. I will guess it's the Bergeron thing. You want to stick around as a captain? Fine, it's $3 million. It's your call. You do what you want to do, and he'll have to make that decision when he gets to it. And maybe they won't, because they have the utmost of respect for him. He's still putting up great numbers. That'll be a complicated conversation for sure. But yeah, I will say this too, that once this gets done, if Willie gets done, Austin's done, I'm wondering how you guys feel about this. Like, it doesn't seem to me, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but the Stanley Cup conversation isn't coming up enough by the team. I don't know if that's by design or if that's natural. You guys played in the league. But, like, once these deals get done and they're here, I want to hear like an obsession about the cup. Like I don't want to hear I'm here because I love it here. Fans are great. Restaurants are awesome.
Well, do you want to hear what the Edmonton Oilers did in the summertime when they said it's cup or bust, and then they finished with 20 losses in a row?
I guess what I'm asking you is, like when Austin signed and when Willie's about to sign, do you think they're signing because they think they can win a cup here? Like they're obsessed with a cup here? Like has that been a part of the conversation?
Well, if they thought that, Hayes, you would have heard it.
Exactly. So maybe it's time we hear it from everybody. Like start talking about the elephant in the room is that you haven't won a cup in almost 55 years or 60 years, and everyone's getting paid, everyone's getting their deals. And I know they're trying, and I know they want to. I'm not suggesting they don't or that they're not. But, Johnny, where do you stand on that? Like, just approaching it, like, start talking about the cup and being obsessed with trying to win it. Does it matter at all to you?
Well, I think they correctly feel like playing in Toronto gives them a very good chance to win a cup. And they also are realistic in understanding, like, you can pick any team in the league. Send William Nylander. He can go anywhere. Where would you pick, Hayes? Wherever you pick, He's not going to have a much better chance of winning a cup than Toronto. I'm sorry. You could put him in Vegas. He still wouldn't have a much better chance of winning a cup than Toronto. Like, we know that's the nature of the league. It's hard to pick and choose that kind of success. So I think it is absolutely part of the conversation for these guys that they want to make sure they have a competitive team, a chance to win, while also acknowledging, thinking you can pick the favorite and that's going to make it work. That doesn't work. So now, could I use would it be nice to hear the organization acknowledge a single-minded pursuit of one thing and one thing only? Yeah, probably. But I also think the organization is not doing that on purpose. Just the reason we know why, right? Because it's hard. If they come up short, criticism that opens themselves up to, like, that's why they're not. But internally, they're most definitely talking about what do we need to do to get to that point.
Yeah. With Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst. So U.S. beats Sweden. It got a little ugly there at the end, Johnny, even in the handshake line. Yeah, what was going on there?
Got greasy in the handshake?
Yeah, a little bit.
Handshake, so end of the game, U.S. talks a lot about wanting to be the villains, like enjoying the idea of
and they're good at it.
Well, I mean, they're good, period. But, like, yes, I guess that's what you'd say, that they might be good at it. And they were blowing kisses to the crowd and shushing the crowd after goals and, that kind of stuff, right? And they get up, whatever it ended up being, 6-2, 5-2, whatever it ended up being. And at the end of the game, scrums along the boards, like literally 10 seconds left. Game's over. And, they're pushing and shoving and poking. And Cutter Gauthier, who's a really important player for the U.S., delivers a pretty good cross-check. A couple of Swedish guys go back at him, including Lehtera, who's a Vancouver prospect who won tournament MVP. They end up scuffling around. A guy who hadn't played a shift was on the ice for Sweden, like a designated goon, monster defenseman comes out there. He hadn't played a shift. He's out there with 10 seconds left. He starts fighting Lane Hudson, who's 5'8".
Yeah. Oh, I saw all that, Johnny. I saw all that. I just wondered if
they kick everyone out. They kick everyone out, and then they're going to shake hands. The Swedish players get their silver, and they follow the line. They just go right down the blue line to shake all the American players' hands. And all of a sudden, Lehtera stops. And I thought initially they were having a nice moment saying, hey, you know what? Sorry about that. Tempers got the best of us. Good luck. Great tournament. No. Lehtera and Gauthier were going at it, like verbally, to the point where Lehtera stood there for a while, and I thought, oh boy, this could be crazy. That it got that heated and that greasy in the handshake line. They weren't willing to let it go, but I guess eventually cooler head sort of prevailed, and it didn't get to that point. But it was not. It was emotional. It was passionate, and it got unusually physical and chippy at the end of the game.
Yeah, and that's the nature of that tournament, right? We've seen some wild stuff with medals in particular, like players throwing their medal into the stands.
Oh, yeah. Remember the guy in Buffalo from Sweden? He just
Liam Anderson. First round pick to the Rangers, right? Liam Anderson or Kings, whatever it was. He chucked in the stands, and he was crucified for it. And the guy for today, Sweden's first player went up, Noah Ostlund, who's a very good player, had a great tournament. He had his helmet on, and he stuck his hand out to put it on his hands. And the guy giving the medals out said, you know what, take your helmet off. Let me put it over your neck. Like, let's not.
Yeah.
You will regret doing this. And he did. And again, he 18, 19-year-old
kids. Yep.
In a super emotional moment, it's not surprising they might make somewhat hasty decisions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, every country has been guilty of some infraction over the course of the tournament, doing stuff where it's like that got carried away, emotions got too high. But, USA, Sweden, the state, we came into it, we were talking to you, Johnny, you were saying that they were the prohibitive favorites. So I guess in the end, the right team won. Is that how you would describe it?
100%. I mean, these two are the best two teams in the tournament. They played in the final, and the best team in the tournament won. The Americans had so many good forwards. They ended up with like 8 of the top 13 scorers in the tournament. They had so many guys. Their third line, this Boston College kid line, which had Gabe Perreault, Yannick Perreault's son, and they had Will Smith, the San Jose first-rounder, and Ryan Leonard, the Washington first-rounder. They were the third line. They would have been the first line for every single other team in the tournament, and they were legitimately the third line in the Americans. Like, that's how good they were. That's how deep they were. And at this level, you just can't defend that many good players for an entire game without giving something up. And the goaltending was just okay for Sweden today, and because of it, the Americans won and won handily and deserved to. They were the best team, comfortably the best team in this tournament.
Well, it was an awesome tournament as always. Congrats on a great run, great calls, you and Gord, the whole crew over there, and safe travels home. We'll catch you when you get back, and we'll be in Ottawa next year for the World Juniors. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, you're coming up to the booth. You've already had that confirmed next year.
Yep.
And I will look forward. How's this? I got to turn around. I fly home tomorrow. My next game, I got the Leafs and San Jose on Tuesday. San Jose. Oh, my God. What am I doing with that game?
What a game.
Hildeby game?
Hildeby game? It could be. Maybe that's his intro.
Could be.
Yep, it could be. All-star Thomas Hertel. He'll be there dancing. He'll be doing his thing, Johnny. So gear up, man.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
Michael Granlund to Anthony DeClaire. Here we go.
That's right. That's right. Safe travels. Thank you, buddy.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend.
There's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Check out Maple Toyota's huge truck and SUV lineup, including Tundra, 4Runner, Highlander, and Grand Highlander, in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. All right, your partsy, Luke Wilson, will join us. We will have picks for Week 18, setting the tone for the wild card weekend next week when the real stuff begins. My partsy will be a big part of this. Al's brother, tremendous information, bringing heat. We look forward to it. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
If you smell what the
Win Wilson
is cooking.
We got to get better production than that, man. Like, it's the rock intro is great, but what kind of voice was that? Owen Wilson.
Terrible, just like their picks.
Hey,
Dude,
thank
it's
you,
not
Al's
terrible.
brother. You're right.
It's not terrible.
You're right. Al's brother, quickly, before we begin. Al's brother, thank you. There you go, Al's brother. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure doing business with you, and it's a pleasure winning a championship with you. And I just want to say one thing. Whatever happens in the future, we're never reshuffling. I never want to be on a team with either of those two losers.
Oh, this guy's Brendan Shanahan. Wins the regular season.
That's how we start the segment off, baby.
Yeah, you're right, Al's brother. Regular season success. You and I were the Gold Knights. Bill Foley runs the show over here. We change things up when we have to because we're obsessed with winning the playoffs and the championship come playoff time. We're about parades. They're about banners.
Parts, can you believe this guy? And I said earlier, an hour earlier, we deserve some type of advantage going into the playoffs, like a +3 or something, as
for sure.
As an acknowledgement of winning. Like, this is a joke.
You guys can
Wilson.
That happens in every league. That happens in every league. You get first place, you get some sort of advantage, whether it's home field advantage. If it's the NFL, you get a bye. So maybe it's wild card weekend. We don't even have to pick. You guys have to be above 500 in order to play us in the divisional round, which is tough for you. Going above 500 is tough.
That's such a loser's mentality, Al's brother. It's really sad. It's really,
they're scared
really
to pick
sad.
their own games. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. That's precisely
I have a serious question. I have a serious question here for Hayes and for Al's brother, for both of you guys. You look at the records on the bottom of the screen here. You guys have 3 picks. So fortunately for Hayes, you can't end up sub 500, but you can be awfully close. And Al's brother, are you sweating a little bit? Because you go 0 for 3 here, and your record on this team is an abomination. I think right now, what are you, 11, 12, and 1?
I'm not sweating one bit. I'm not sweating one bit. You know why? Because Hayes said it the other day perfectly. It's Ivan Barbashev, however you want to put it. I'm in here to get it done in the playoffs, and that's what we're going to do starting next week.
That's right. That's precisely what we have planned.
Dude, it's
Our
such
bots,
they're coming together. You guys,
for the playoffs.
you know where
Agreed.
you can go in the lobby of the Holiday Inn, and you know what you're wearing selling your hockey cards, all right? You guys know. And it's just you saying you're built for the playoffs is like a coach that's just copping out saying, we stunk and we choked. That's all it's saying.
Well, let's finish strong, okay? We got a 3-pack of games each here, and they're all really good games because Doogie has made sure of it. Because Doogie is trying to prove that he's not on the purchase, right? He's not. He hasn't been bought by Timo and Wilson. He's not on the take, which is very debatable, wouldn't you say, Al's brother? I mean, you and we're still waiting for Handshake Gate to be officially, summarized, and there's people that are on the ball on that.
There's some shadiness going on this week in particular because all week long, what have we done on the Sunday slates? A 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, and the Sunday nighter. And all of a sudden, I look at the slate this week and I see, wait a second, we both are picking a 4 o'clock game, and he happened to say, I can't give them a 1 o'clock slate. Hazy's got to pick against his Packers.
You're kidding me.
It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The fix is in. This is worse than the Black Sox scandal. I honestly think that the whole regular season, because of this, should just be rendered and disqualified.
I did not even realize
disgusting.
that.
I hate to jump in here. I hate to jump in here.
JP,
Go ahead.
JP.
I was designated someone that would have a supervisor role, so to speak, over Doogie's selection of the picks.
Right.
I was not informed of the non-1 p.m. selection. Mm-hmm. And was informed of that after the fact, after everything was been submitted. I would have said Atlanta and the Saints has to be a game that's picked.
I totally agree with you.
Division game, everything's on the line.
No disrespect,
because you know why,
but
JP?
you got to be quiet, dude. You got to be quiet.
You know why you have
Man
that
of
stance? Because
integrity.
your tax returns are actually clean. Right, you wouldn't have the CRA chasing you because you're getting cash on the side and not paying tax on that because you're not on the take.
First and foremost, you want to pick a different game, let me know. I'll pick whatever you want right now. Secondly, what does it matter? We're up 9 games. What does it matter?
Because
why are you guys complaining?
It's just principle. That's it.
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
It's an asterisk.
Here we go, Alex.
Right.
Tell me what games you want me to pick. Tell me.
Well,
hey,
let
we're
me
going
know.
to pick the games. They're already locked in. We're going to pick the games.
All right, let's
Just
get
have
to
it
the
known.
picks then.
Let's get to the picks. But I didn't even know that. I was so focused on our picks.
I
didn't
figured
even
it
look
out an hour
at
ago.
Let's just lay it out on the table.
Okay.
We got Doogie in our back pocket, and JP, you guys are paying off. So
Yeah.
let's just get that out
I mean,
right
it
away.
seems pretty obvious. That picture
go
of
ahead.
Luke and Doogie just keeps coming up, an asterisk every
Sickening.
single week. All right, Steelers versus Ravens. Hayes and Bro, Steelers laying 3. Al's brother, tremendous information. Please.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird game to have to pick because you look at how many starters are sitting out for the Baltimore Ravens. Because in your right mind, you would never look at this game on a normal week and say, yeah, we're going to lay the points with the Steelers. Mm-hmm. But we got to do it this week. We got to do it because you look at it, there's no Lamar Jackson. Odell's going to be sitting out. Zay Flowers is hurt. Good chance he doesn't play. And they've got a bunch of guys who I would imagine are going to be exiting stage left after the first quarter. And all of a sudden, it's going to be the Steelers with a playoff berth on the line versus the number 2s from the Baltimore Ravens. And I'll take that because, look, the Steelers have actually played some pretty good football. And if you look at them over the course of the last few weeks, they've been able to run the ball. The offensive line has been, doing some good things. And that's kind of been the weakness of this Baltimore Ravens defense since week 9. You like your little EPA stat, Luke? 9th they're 24th.
What about
in
you
the
saying
league.
the Steelers are playing great football? It's not weeks ago that their coach was like, this team is garbage.
Hey, what have you done for me lately? Mason Rudolph's come in, and they're
Mason
averaging
Rudolph.
30
Rudolph,
points
yeah.
a week.
Jeannie Bouchard, I love it. And Tomlin owns Harbaugh. Factual.
True.
Tomlin owns
Steelers, they've won 6 of the
Harbaugh.
last 7 games between these two clubs.
Lay the points. We're on the Steelers.
I mean, guys, it's just unfortunate. This is why I don't even want to go into the playoffs. Like, we need something else. The segment's dying. What do we got? Here comes that.
I'll tell you what's coming.
It's pure
That's what's
idiocy.
coming.
Hazenbot. I mean,
Our bots are
the
cooked for
total
the playoffs.
points is 34.5. This game's going to be 7-6. How can you take the points? Secondly, just to let you know, this whole thing, like, there's only 53 guys on a roster. You only dress 45. You got a kicker, a punter, and a long snapper. That gets you to 42. So there's not like there's half the positions don't even have twos. So you're sitting here thinking, oh, these guys aren't going to play, or they're going to play their 2s and 3s at a couple positions. But guess what? The bulk majority are still going to be guys that have played a ton of football. The game's going to be 14-13 or something to that effect. Good old school divisional game between those two. And you're going to be sitting here under 500 for Alsbro, and you'll be 26-24-2 for Hayes. It's ridiculous.
No, it's a great pick, and you guys know it. You're digging too deep. The bots are all over you. They're in your head, and it's going to affect your game Saturday night. Texans laying 1.5 against the Colts. Who do you guys like, Texans or Indianapolis?
This is a tough one for me, but I'm going to defer to my parts here just before I make this pick. Like, O-Dog, what's your gut instinct telling you on this one?
If we're going to go gut, I've had a soft spot for the Texans all year long. I'm going to go Texans, but I want you to take control, and I want to see if you're on the same page.
Let's go!
Same page? Let's go!
Called gut
Let's
instinct
go!
right there, boys. That's called gut instinct. You look at what C.J. Stroud has done this year. He's been phenomenal. The only reason the Texans are even in this position is because, O-Dog's guy, is because he got hurt for a couple weeks within this month. If not, they wouldn't even be in this position. I love what Gardner Minshew's done. It's been a cool story, but the Cinderella story comes to an end this weekend. The Texans roll in there. They get it done. They cover 1.5. And just poetically, the best part about it is they're going to eliminate Al's brother's favorite team from the playoffs. And the next thing I'll say is, in a game like this that really matters, do not sleep on the head coach, D'Amico Ryans. This guy has played in big games. He's coached in big games, especially with the Niners. He's going to have the boys ready to go. Texans are going to the playoffs.
Wow. Al's brother, that's hurtful that he would say that about your Colts. I love the fact that we can roll with your Colts, pick up a win, start swinging things in our direction, and then we get to Packers-Bears, which, again, is in the 4 o'clock slot, just like Seahawks-Cardinals, because Doogie's on the take. But it's all good. Packers laying 3 against the Bears at Lambeau. Al's brother, tremendous information, and then I will come over the top with gut instinct.
Yeah.
I can't even listen to this garbage anymore, but go ahead.
Listen, we're going to roll with my Colts, and I think we should roll with your Pack. Our fandom is going to take over our picks this weekend, and I think we're going to go double-double on this one, by the way. And we'll both be insufferable this weekend when that happens and both these squads end up making the playoffs. But ultimately, I look at these two teams, right? This game in Lambeau, Chicago, they don't travel well. They're 2-6 on the road this year. So I think that's going to come into play. And ultimately, if you look at what Jordan Love has been doing over the course of the last little bit, since week 11, again, your favorite stat you like to throw out there, Luke, EPA. Which quarterback do you think leads the entire NFL in EPA since week 11?
Do you want to describe
EPA
is for the listeners?
You know I hate EPA. I think EPA is the biggest garbage stat in football. Just letting you know that.
Explain that to the listeners that don't know.
Yeah, explain what it is, Al's brother.
It's earned point per average. So basically per play, how much points are you getting per play? So he is averaging out the most points per play when you average out. It's almost like a per 60 in the NHL when you're looking at
love it.
Expected goals per 60. This is expected points per play is what this is. So Jordan Love is doing it. This guy's the Nathan McKinnon right now when it comes to EPA. And he's going to go in there and do exactly what Nate McKinnon's been doing of late. He's going to light this Bears defense on fire. They're going to book a spot into the playoffs, and we're going to be a happy duo.
Yeah, that's my gut
Holiday
instinct.
Inn. Lobby at the Holiday Inn, man. I'm sorry.
The Packers own the Bears. I will say I'm a little. It's very similar to what happened last year with the Lions. The Lions were great in the second half. They were up and coming. We know what happened at Lambeau last year. But the difference is Aaron Rodgers was choking. That's what he did in big games late in his career in Green Bay. My man Jay Love is going to start a completely new era there. I think it's Matt LaFleur better have the best coaching game of his career because he got danced last year by Dan Campbell. He's been danced by Shanahan in big games in the past. He has got to show up on this one against Eberflus. If he can't dance Matt Eberflus, we have real problems at Lambeau. It's only 3. I think the Bears will show up. I think it'll be a good game. I do. I expect it to be pretty close.
Yeah.
But we're laying the points because I think the Packers win. Packers by 4+. Lock it in, TG, for life.
Oh, that's too bad. You know what, Hayes? I was going to give you an offer. I was going to give you an offer to tie this bad boy up. I was going to give you 6 points. 6-point swing here, but you got to take the Pack by 7.
Packers by a touchdown for what? Us to come back and be able to win the regular season? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. We'd have
then what does it matter?
So I'm not giving it.
Exactly. So it
Take
doesn't.
it back, man.
Save that for the playoffs. All right. Once we get to the real stuff in a week, that's when we'll really
it's
start
on record
talking.
again, dog.
Pack
Look
by
what a
field
fraud,
goal.
man.
Yeah.
You think of it. If I gave you 6 points for this one and you sweep Saturday, now all of a sudden it's an 8-point swing and we're +1. But you can't do it with your Pack once again. It's embarrassing.
You know why? Because he's a
embarrassing.
golfer. He's a good golfer, and he wins one tournament a year. It's called the No Balls Open. He's 47 under at the No Balls Open.
That's fine, man. Listen, Victoria, I'll take it. A win is a win is a win. Packers by 3. We're not getting any crazier than that. All right, moving on here. What else do we have? We have another game in the 4 o'clock window. Again, Doogie making sure that there's an asterisk beside this.
Yeah.
You guys are Seahawks laying 3 against the Cardinals.
There's inside information, too.
I'm not just saying this. You do what you want. You are the captain of the team along with Rod. And I'm not just saying this because you played there. Go Hawks. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, baby. Go Hawks. You see
Let's
that?
go. I knew you would be on board with Go Hawks.
Let's go. I mean, you look at this situation, Parts, and here's where my boys got beat last week. They're in trouble. Backs against the wall. Probably won't make the playoffs, barring anything happens. But you know who's the greatest motivator in the NFL? Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's going to have these boys ready to go. It's a short trip down to Arizona. And on the flip side, you want to talk about a letdown spot. Arizona saved their season last week with a huge win against Philly. They've been out of the Listen, they've been out of the playoffs for a long time. You know what happens in this league? It happened to me in Detroit. Probably week 8, I booked a vacation. Week 8, when I was playing Detroit, I booked a vacation. What do you think the Arizona Cardinals guys did week 8? Booking a vacation. They got a big win last week. They've all checked out. Seattle's technically still alive. They're going down. They're going to win by 14. Great pick, Parts.
Okay. Hey, listen, Kyler Murray is cooking, man. He got to the dance late, Al's brother, but he is doing serious dances. I love the fact that we're getting points with the Cardinals.
Yeah, James Conner, buddy. I mean, what did Seattle give up? 200 yards on the ground last week? James Conner, he'll gash him up.
Yeah, the Terminator is
Here's the big one. Here's the big one. I just want to say
Here's the big one.
You two both know the right pick, but you're afraid of the Toronto fans, and I know you'll be influenced. I know you won't pick it.
No, the line is down to Bills 2.5. It's moving towards Miami. Hayes and Bro on the clock. Al's brother, tremendous information.
I am going to do you a solid here, Luke. I'm going to do you a solid because I know that you're on an island when it comes to fading the Bills this week. I saw your hit on SC last night. I know you're on an island. So I'm going to give you 2 more people to join you on that island, and their names are the O-Dog and Rod Smith, because we love the Bills this week, baby. I think the Bills are going to go in and beat the doors off these Miami Dolphins. The Fins are frauds. They can't beat good teams, even though they got that one win against the Dallas Cowboys a couple weeks ago. It was Dallas who shot themselves in the foot. Look, the Bills, when their back's against the wall, they're the team that shows up on a weekly basis. I think they show up, they win big, and they win this game. They win the division. They're in the playoffs, 2 playoff games. It could be coming for the Super Bowl, Luke.
I agree. Bills
roll.
roll.
You just said yup.
Bills roll.
You said yup.
I say Miami is fraudulent. As Al's brother just pointed out, if Dallas had any competence whatsoever with a 2-minute drill defensively,
I do not think the Dolphins are fraudulent. I really
they're
don't.
completely fraudulent. You like Mike McDaniel because he wears cool pants and sunglasses. Exactly. Yeah. They can't stop anything. I don't believe Tua. We'll see. Tua's got a lot of pressure on him. They're banged up. They've already punched
Dolphins
their
have a top 10 run defense. Top 10 run defense right now.
Subconsciously, they're already in the playoffs. There's one team that's really desperate. It's Buffalo. I don't believe Miami's got a killer instinct. I don't think they will look at this saying, we can bury this team. I also think there's going to be 1 million Bills fans there. It's basically a neutral site game. I love the Bills Sunday night. Bills laying 2.5.
Boys, listen, I'm just saying, and you're giving up points too. You're lucky it went down. You look at this Bills team. They barely beat Bailey Zappi. They barely beat Easton Stick. They beat the heck out of the Cowboys in a torrential downpour where your quarterback had 7 completions. And they beat Kansas City by Kadarius Toney's toe and Kansas City is clearly not who we all thought they were. Before that, this team's 6-6. You guys have been misled. You're just like all the Maple Leaf fans. Like, you're just riding this wave. Who are the Bills? Who are the Bills? Oh, they need a run game. Guess what? Miami's giving up 3.8 on the ground. So they're going to have to go on the road, which they've struggled, and dice this defense up. Now, it'll help that Xavier Howard's probably not playing. That'll help the situation. Will Stephon Diggs come back to life? I hope so. But to sit here and take the Bills in a team that can barely beat Easton Stick, can barely beat Bailey Zappi by 2.5 points against Tua, Mike McDaniels, the whole cast, it's insanity. And that's why you'll be sub 500, because you got another shot to go 0-3 this week.
Mic drop.
And I don't think the playoffs. I don't think the playoffs should have you two in it, if I'm being honest.
All right, we'll figure the playoffs next week.
I think we need to face someone else. Talk to Dewey, talk to JP. These guys stink.
Okay. Maybe next year it's me and you versus Doogie and JP.
How's that going to work? You guys are all on the same side.
It's a good idea.
It'll just be 4 guys picking against the wall. You'll go perfect all season because Doogie's on your team, and so is JP, evidently, with 2 4 p.m. games. I mean, the asterisk is in. I don't even need the consortium anymore for Handshake Gate. It's over. It's done. The smoking gun is here. 2 4 p.m. games. Doogie's on the take. It's disappointing. But there you go. The picks are in. Hayes and Bro rolls. Al's brother one more time for the regular season before we really start rocking. The bots are alive and well. Playoffs right around the corner. We can't wait for it. Luke, good seeing you. Good luck. We'll catch you in the group chat.
Can't wait.
There's Luke Wilson. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Cheryl Pounder coming up. Dear Hazy B, every day this week we've been announcing current, former Maple Leaf players for our Leafs lineup of the week. And we're giving away tickets to see the Leafs play the Sharks January 9th, and throwing in a $250 Vanilla Visa prepaid card with each pair of tickets to make it the ultimate game night. Vanilla Visa prepaid cards are available for purchase at Petro-Canada. Your final player of the week is Vincent Damphousse. Phone lines are open, 416-870-1050, 416-870-1050. First one in with all 5 players named, you're going to see Leafs Sharks and picking up a $250 Vanilla Visa prepaid card. All right, Cheryl on the juniors, her take on, you got Toronto versus New York, PWHL tonight. You got the under-18s as well on the women's side coming up. Cheryl's a big part of that. So get into a number of things with our friend Cheryl Pounder in about 10 minutes. Dear Hazy B still to come, our best bets as well. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050, soon to be up on TSN 2.